On August the 2nd, 2 years ago, after a 30-year break from cycling, I rode 7.6 kilometres. 2 days later, I followed that up with 16 kilometres, and I've been pushing my limits ever since. In a few days, I'll be riding in Amy's Gran Fondo, 122 kilometres with nearly 1900 metres of elevation. At 70, this is my toughest ride ever. Over the past few weeks, I've been documenting my progress here on YouTube as I prepare for this ride. Today, I'll be talking about the bike, training and preparation, what I'll be taking with me, and the strategy to get through to the end. What could this ride and the moon have in common? Stick with me and I'll explain. But first, let's head outdoors and check out the bike. This is a Fuji Gran Fondo 2.1, made in 2018. I bought it second-hand. It's just been serviced at the bike shop and it's looking good, lovely and clean as well. So it's got endurance geometry. It's more relaxed, which really suits an older rider like me with less flexibility. It's size 58, it's kind of extra large, carbon frame. So originally it had Shimano Ultegra components, but it was swapped out before I bought it with Dura Ace. It has compact chain rings. The rear cassette was 1128. I swapped that out to 1134 because I just knew I couldn't get up those hills on 1128. So then I had to go back to Ultegra for the cassette and Ultegra long cage rear derailleur. I've had to replace the rear wheel. It's a Shimano wheel. The front wheels are the Fuji branded oval. It's got 28mm Grand Prix 5000 tyres and TPU tubes. I'm using hybrid pedals because I just feel more comfortable with them. Particularly with the shoes, I'm often starting on bike paths, and I found with the road shoes and the hard plastic cleats that my foot might slip, or did slip occasionally, and I had a bit more trouble getting out of the pedals. This is easier, and also if I get to a really steep hill and I'm worried about not being able to clip out and I'm going like 3 kilometres an hour, before I get to that point I can put my foot on the flat part of the pedal and just easily take it off if I need to. I've added a power meter which is on the other side. That's Ultegra. I have heart rate monitor which is paired up to the Wahoo Element Bolt version 2 bike computer. Cyplus sent me this electronic bike pump. A dog's just come along and licked it a moment ago. So Cyplus AS2 Ultegra bike pump. I think this works really well. It does get hot at first, and I thought this nice grippy case was really lovely, but it's actually to do with the insulation because yeah, it does get hot. So I've used this pump a couple of times out on the road. It's very slow, it takes a long time to get up to any sort of decent pressure, and I don't think I've even got to 60 PSI. This unit though is much quicker and it will get me to the full 60 or 80 PSI. So my 28mm tyres take about 90 seconds to get up to 80 PSI, and it has enough power to use it twice. It also has an adapter for Schrader valves and a little needle which is for pumping up balls, that sort of thing. And this isn't a waterproof case because the unit itself isn't waterproof, but it looks good. Feels good. It seems to recharge pretty quickly, not that I timed it, but being the person that I am, I'd probably charge it each time I charge my bike computer or more often. So my saddlebag, I try to keep it really small. I don't like big things on my bike, but I have $20, a multi-tool kit, some tyre levers, a spare tube, and a spare snack bar, a spare battery for my crank and for my power meter and for my heart rate. I did change them a week ago just to be sure. I'll also be taking an Insta 360 X3 camera with a microphone and my iPhone. As Lance Armstrong wrote, it's not about the bike. Well, it's not just about the bike, but what follows is equally or arguably more important. Let's head back inside. In a previous video, I talked about the difference between training and preparation. Training is the work you do on the bike. Prep is everything that supports that work off the bike. Rest, sleep, recovery, nutrition, and mental readiness. One focus for me this time has been getting enough protein. It's something I hadn't really monitored before. While I don't weigh every gram, I make sure there's protein in every meal and in snacks. Things like eggs, legumes and nuts. Recently, I actually gained some weight, not a lot, when I thought I'd be losing it. It's a tricky balance, fueling properly while trying to stay lean and strong. I've been doing a 60-second plank most days. I'm impressed with many of you though, running, hiking, and gym work. I gave myself a 10-week lead-in to train specifically for Amy's. Before that, it was all about building endurance. Easy rides, no hills, just staying consistent and keeping the legs turning over. That gave me a solid foundation once I ramped things up. My goal has been to ride at least 3 times a week. Some weeks it's only 2, others I managed 4. In 1 week, recently, I totaled 8.5 hours riding and covered over 180 kilometres while aiming for consistency rather than perfection. One big challenge are the hills. I live and train mostly in flat areas. To work around that, I made trips to Yarra Boulevard and tied in a ride in the Dandenong Hills with a talk I was giving nearby. That turned out to be my first proper hill test and I mostly held my own. The real game changer was buying a smart trainer. Over the past few weeks, Melbourne's spring weather has thrown everything at us. Gusty winds, wet roads and unpredictable conditions. Riding outdoors in those conditions means getting pulled out of my training zone constantly. Hills, stop-starts and battling crosswinds and headwinds, it's hard to stay focused. But the trainer, that's precision. Indoors I can ride to power, choose the gradient and build fitness without interruption.
I think it's at about 800 metres elevation. That's going to kill me. So I'm just going to shut up and try and get through this.
It used to feel like cheating, like I wasn't doing real riding, but now I see it differently. Letting go of my snobbery about indoor training has been one of the best lessons of this whole preparation. But it doesn't replace time spent outdoors. Fitness is only part of the equation. Let's look at what I'll take with me to keep riding for 7 hours. Everything I've read and every video I've watched points to consuming 60 to 70 grams of carbs per hour during endurance rides. I've done some experimenting on and off the bike and here's the approach I've settled on. My main source of energy is a powder mix called Staminade. It also has sodium and potassium, which is helpful when it's warm. Plus table sugar, that's it, no fancy gels or products. One 970ml bottle with this mix gives me over 80 grams of carbs. And for solid food, I pair that with fruitcake from my local supermarket. It's small, compact, and it gives me roughly 52 grams of carbs. It's sweet, but that's what's needed and it's not expensive. And I can refresh the palate with a cold beer at the end. I can get over 60 grams of carbs per hour from half a bidon of the drink mix and a half piece of fruit cake and around 500 mils of water per hour to stay hydrated. I'll top up extra carbs and water at the aid stations which have water, hydration products, lollies, fruit and even more fruit cake if I'm not already sick of it. I'll have extra drink mix I'll have in the Ziploc bags. Fruitcake will be pre-cut and individually wrapped and easy to access so I can eat without stopping. Everything goes in my jersey pockets, but I may bring a top tube bag. I'll decide once I start packing. I've set a reminder on the bike computer every 20 minutes, eat, drink, because it's easy to forget. Ryan Thomas at Road Cycling Academy says that once you get behind on your carb intake, you can't catch up. And I've done that before.
You can never catch up on fueling, but you can be prepared.
My phone also goes in my jersey pocket, and I'll have sunscreen with me. All of that, the food, the hydration, the reminders is only part of the picture because fueling well means nothing if I don't pace myself smartly. That's where strategy comes in. This is where all the preparation comes together. Amy's Gran Fondo isn't just about the bike, the training or fitness, it's about strategy and just as much it's about the mind. A phrase I came across recently stuck with me, ride the first 90 minutes easy, the last minutes proud. That's the goal. In the past I've made the classic mistake riding at a tempo that feels fine early on, especially when I'm surrounded by faster riders, but 90 minutes, 2 hours in, I'd hit a wall and I wouldn't recover. And the thing is, I'm not competitive. In the moment, I get carried away. When I was younger, I could push through. These days, it's a battle between what feels good and what gets me to the finish line without falling apart and a sobbing mess. That's where pacing and planning come in. There are 4 refreshment stops on the course, each about 90 minutes apart at my pace. Sounds great, but each has a cut-off time. If I average 17 kilometres an hour, I'll scrape through, but that doesn't account for stopping. To be safe, I need to maintain closer to 20 kilometres an hour, which is what I average on my longer rides. But on the climbs, of which there are many, I'm slow. I'm 6'1", 90 kilos. My average speed drops sharply. While I do make up time on descents, I descend cautiously so the gains are modest. The plan is to maintain a steady, sustainable pace, watch my heart rate and ignore faster riders. If I'm feeling good, I might skip the first stop and ride straight through to Forest, that's 50 kilometres in. Then pause a bit longer there to recover before the biggest climb of the day, Mount Sabine. I rode this section on the Smart Trainer and it was brutal. Last year I took the Sag Wagon. This year, it's my unfinished business. If you have thoughts on strategies and tricks, let me know in the comments. Other strategies? At the refreshment stops, refill bottles, grab 1 food item and roll. Just a few minutes at each stop. Mount Sabine climb, shift early, keep heart rate down and find a rhythm. A tip I've been given is for a small dose of caffeine, 60 to 80 milligrams before the second climb, which helps to keep focus, reduces perceived exertion. Caffeine can also be helpful towards the end of the ride when mental fatigue creeps in. After 4 hours, expect my heart rate to drift slightly higher. Digestion slows, sticking with liquid carbs and easier fuels like lollies and bananas. Keep solid food small and frequent, avoid big chunks. With this strategy, pacing and a bit of grit, I plan to ride it through. If you're riding Amy's, get in touch. It would be great to meet up beforehand. This is just one part of the Gran Fondo series. Check out the others to see how it all comes together. Why go through all this? To borrow from JFK's moonshot speech, I don't do it because it's easy, I do it because it's hard. At this stage of life, pushing my limits has given me something wonderful. Focus, purpose, and a challenge worth showing up for. Cheers until next time.